Hello friends, welcome back to Simply Breeze. My name is Bree if you are new here, and today we are kicking off the amazing sides that you can make for Thanksgiving that play on tradition but are just a little bit different to add some variety to your Thanksgiving day. So we're making 2 recipes tonight with dinner, and then we'll make the other 2 recipes here in the next couple of days. So the first recipe we are making is a roasted fall vegetable, and this original recipe that I'm getting inspired by called for sweet potatoes. I am not using sweet potato in this recipe. Reed's not a huge fan of sweet potato, so we are going to be using butternut squash, shallots, garlic, potatoes, mushrooms, and some garlic. Both the butternut squash, the garlic, and the potatoes are homegrown. So the potatoes I grew, the butternut squash and the garlic my mom grew, and so it's a really fun way to use up some fall produce, especially if you are growing it yourself. The next recipe, we have had something very similar at a friend's house for a barbecue, and it is a corn souffle. So we always have corn at Thanksgiving, but I'm not a huge fan of corn by itself, but I do really like this corn bake that our neighbor makes, and so I found this corn souffle recipe, so we're gonna give this a try. Reed and I will taste these both and give you a recap of what we think, and then we're going to share with my family our thoughts and see if maybe we incorporate this at Thanksgiving this year. So the corn souffle calls for fresh or frozen corn kernels, some cream style corn, sugar, eggs, butter, milk, cornmeal, and arrowroot powder. We are going to go ahead and get the vegetables and everything prepped for the fall roasted vegetables, and then we will whip up the corn souffle. I am also going to deviate because the corn souffle says to bake at 400 and the roasted vegetables say to bake at 425. And I think we're just going to do everything at 400 and call it square because I don't want to burn the corn souffle. We can probably get away with baking it at 425. So we'll see how I'm feeling. So these mushrooms, they're whole baby Bella mushrooms. We're gonna get these rinsed off, and then we're just gonna chop them in half, so that's super easy. This recipe also didn't call for potatoes, but I figured since I'm negating the sweet potato and we've got some potatoes on hand, we'll just add a couple of little potatoes. This is the smaller butternut squash, so we're gonna use that one. And then I didn't grow any shallots. So let's go ahead and get these vegetables cleaned, chopped, onto the baking sheet, and then we'll whip up the corn souffle. All right, for the butternut squash, I'm going to use a vegetable peeler and get the skin peeled off. Next, we're going to cut away the top. And that can go in the compost. We're going to cut away the bottom. It can also go in the compost. And we're going to cut this butternut squash in half. Fantastic. Then we're just going to scoop out the seeds, though this one doesn't look like it produced any seeds, which is very, very interesting. I've never seen that before. And we're going to go ahead and slice again, because we want these to be in bite-sized chunks is what we're striving for here with the butternut squash. Perfect. These roasted vegetables you could probably prep ahead of time. Just don't season them, like don't put salt. The salt will draw out moisture and then they'll get really soft. So you can prep these a day ahead. And I'm wondering if you could also freeze these vegetables and take them directly from the freezer and throw them onto a baking sheet, season them and pop them into the oven. So maybe I'll try that because I'm about to get a whole lot more butternut squash from my mom. And I'm going to need ways to preserve. And this recipe says to peel and quarter these shallots. I don't think I have ever cooked with shallots, if I'm completely honest. So I'm excited to give this a try. It says peeled and quartered. So like that. Interesting. And then I'm guessing we mix everything up once everything's been cooked. I'm not sure. So we'll peel and quarter, we'll throw them there. We douse these in some oil and some salt and pepper. This recipe also called for some fresh thyme, which I do happen to have. This has been sitting in my fridge for a little while, so we're gonna grab 2 of these sprigs of thyme. We will just break it up in here. Maybe we'll grab another sprig if we can get it. There we go. Perfect. And then we're going to add some salt. Some pepper. Now let's mix this all up. We could have probably used more mushrooms, but again, we used a fair amount of butternut squash. So let me wash my hands. We'll set this aside. Let's get the corn souffle whipped on up, and then we'll get everything thrown in to the oven. We'll try and make this a little bit of a single layer if we can to make sure everything cooks properly. The first thing we need to do is we need to get about 2 tablespoons of butter. There. Melt it on up. So we'll get that in there and we'll melt this. So one thing to note about this corn souffle recipe is it makes a 9x13 dish. We are not making that quantity. I do have a smaller dish here. We are going to make this smaller. So I'm cutting this recipe in half. Again, it's just Reed and I. Those vegetables are a lot, number one. With a 9x13 corn souffle, I don't know how we're gonna go through it all, especially because Reed's about to be gone for 3 days hunting. So I'm cutting this recipe in half, just so you know. So if I'm cutting this recipe in half, it calls for 2 large eggs, 2 tablespoons of butter, 2 tablespoons of sugar, a 1/4 cup of milk, 2 tablespoons of cornstarch, 2 tablespoons of cornmeal. It needs about 3/4 of a cup of corn, 1 can of cream style corn, and then half a teaspoon of salt and a 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla. So now that we have our butter melted, we are going to go ahead and beat together the eggs with the butter and the sugar. So let's go ahead and add the sugar. So we're going to beat together the butter and the sugar here. We're going to crack our 2 eggs. We'll crack 1. We'll get it semi-beaten together. Oh, we're not going to let that other egg make a run for it. We'll just crack this other egg directly into here. It's fine. Now we need to whisk together milk, cornstarch, and cornmeal until that mixture is smooth. And we need 2 tablespoons of cornmeal. There's 1. There's 2. We need 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. I don't have cornstarch, but I do have arrowroot powder, and that is a good substitute. This also calls for 2 tablespoons. So there's 1 and 2. And then we need a 1/4 cup of milk, and we're gonna whisk this together until it runs smooth. That looks pretty smooth to me. So now we add this to our egg mixture. And the reason it looks chunky is because of the type of cornmeal. I have a very medium grain cornmeal that we're using. So now we'll whisk this together. About half of this package of corn. Need 1 can of cream style corn. I've never cooked with this, so this is new to me. And then we need to add our salt, our vanilla, and so we need 1/2 teaspoon of salt, that's about that. And then vanilla, we measure with a little more love than anything else. Seems good. We'll get this mixed on up. And what I think I want to bake this in, let's see, how much do we have here? For a 3-quart flat baking dish. Let's see, we're gonna bake this in our cast iron here. So I've got my standard cast iron. We're gonna bake this in this. And now we are gonna pop this into the oven as well. So now both of those are in the oven and they're gonna bake for about 40 to 45 minutes. So I will show you what they're looking like when they come out of the oven and we'll do a taste test. All right, friends, so the corn souffle and the roasted vegetables are looking really great. I do also apologize for my appearance. I finished work. I wanted to get a workout in. We're trying to make sure we are doing some light exercises, lots of movement during this pregnancy to, 1, keep the pregnancy healthy, but also to really help for prepping for labor and delivery of our little babe. We are 27 weeks. I'm super excited about it. So just so you know, that is what's going on. And I wasn't about to get put together just to put my feet up and relax for the rest of the evening. So this is what you're getting. Thanks for bearing with me. So let me show you what the souffle and the vegetables are looking like. The house smells absolutely amazing. And the fact that it didn't take much time to get all of that prepped and thrown together should also be a reason that I think these should be added as options or considered as options for a wonderful Thanksgiving meal, because there's already a lot going on prepping for Thanksgiving lunch or dinner, depending on when you have it. And the roasted vegetables didn't take long to prep. The corn souffle came together super easy. It was just the baking time. So something to consider, but I will give you a final verdict once we give these a try. So let's take a look and see how they're baking up. Ooh, there's a lot of steam in here because of the vegetables, but the corn souffle is looking good. It says once it's about golden, which it's almost there, to go ahead and take it out. And then the vegetables are getting nice and soft as well. The potatoes look good. The butternut squash is starting to look really good. The mushrooms are for sure done. The shallots have taken on a really nice color. And so these are about done, and our pork chops, which is what we're gonna pair all of this with tonight, are looking about done as well. So this is getting some good color. You can't really see it at this angle. So here soon, that should be finished. Give everything a good mix. Break up the shallots. The corn souffle we're gonna leave in for just a little bit longer. I've never made this before and I wanna make sure it's cooked well. So we are gonna grab a potato, we'll grab some shallot, we'll grab some butternut squash, definitely a mushroom. And there's just garlic sprinkled in through here. So now let's give these a taste test. Try a mushroom. Let's try butternut squash with the shallot. I'll take a bite out of the shallot. Maybe. Maybe. It's delicious. It's just vegetables. Good old roasted vegetables. The potatoes are perfect. The butternut squash is very nicely cooked. The mushrooms, I don't eat a lot of mushrooms anymore. I love mushrooms, so that was really nice. The mushrooms are cooked beautifully, and the shallot is delicious. So let's take a look at that corn souffle and see if it's about done. It is nice and golden. I don't know how well that's coming up for you. Just look at that beautiful color. Reed, do you want to try the corn souffle?
Sure.
Do you want to be on or off camera?
Maybe off camera.
Okay. So Reed's got his plate, but it is very hot. It smells really good.
It sure does.
It's very hot. It's different.
It is different.
Yeah. It's not quite the like bready texture I was thinking it would be.
Isn't the souffle not supposed to be bready?
I've never had a souffle, so I don't know. It's good though.
Mm-hmm.
It's got good flavor, I think. I really like it.
It tastes like corn.
Mm-hmm. It's good stuff. Would you say this at Thanksgiving would be?
This would be really good at Thanksgiving.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Okay, so we're gonna dish up for dinner now. Reed likes vegetables. The only thing he doesn't like on here is the mushrooms, but he'll like the rest of it, so I've got no concerns there, but the vegetables are amazing. Corn souffle is pretty good. It did not disappoint. So we're gonna eat dinner now. So we had a flop, but we also have a wonderful success. We have dinner rolls, and these are some of the best rolls that my family makes. This recipe has been in my family for almost 30 years now. It was a recipe given to us by somebody that my mom met. I don't know who, but we've been using this recipe for years and years. My mom tried deviating and using a different roll recipe once, and the family went on strike. So this is by far our favorite roll recipe, and we only make this around Thanksgiving and Christmas. So this is like a wonderful holiday roll, and it's a wonderful holiday treat. So I'm going to show you how to make these. These have been rising since about 8:30 a.m. this morning. As we're letting these cook, I will go ahead and show you how I made these. I made them last night. They're a little bit of like a long rise process, but not very hands-on. So we're waiting for the oven to come to temperature. It's at 400 degrees, and then we're gonna bake these for about, let me check my recipe, 10 to 12 minutes until they're golden, and then we're going to top them with, we're gonna brush them with a little bit of butter. We're gonna let them cool, and we're gonna make these dinner rolls. My family tends to like these rolls rolled up in crescent shapes. So typically we roll the dough out and we make them into crescent shapes. Mom's tried to make these like this before. Nobody was very happy with it. Again, certain things just can't be changed apparently. So, but this time I did choose to do a classic dinner roll presentation. Because it is not Thanksgiving yet, we are still a couple weeks out. I am recipe testing and I want to share with you guys what I do and what my family does, and some awesome make ahead make ahead side dish options. The rolls, they're not quite make ahead, but some of the other recipes that we will be going over in this video are make ahead options. So I chose not to turn these into the crescent shape because Reed and I would like to make these into sliders later on. That way they actually get used. Like alternatively, we can also freeze these. We may use about half of them, and I may freeze the other half and we'll use them for sliders or something later on down the road as well. So let's wait for this oven to get preheated. I apologize if you can hear the dishwasher. I had no choice. I needed to run it. We're about to do a whole lot of cooking, and I'm gonna need that dishwasher to be clean and empty so I can put all of the other dishes that I choose to make today into the dishwasher. So while we are waiting on the oven to preheat, we are also going to move on to making homemade stuffing. My family's been making homemade stuffing now for about the last like couple years. My mom used to buy just like bread chunks and then we would make the stuffing. Well, the last couple years we've actually been using homemade bread, specifically sourdough, and we absolutely love it. So I do have a bowl of sourdough in the fridge that is ready to be cut up and diced, and we're going to turn that into our stuffing. This stuffing is a sausage cranberry stuffing. We generally make our own cranberry sauce on Thanksgiving, and we do have some cranberries left over, and we like to put chopped up whole fresh cranberries into the stuffing, and it adds a really nice flavor profile. And so I'll take you along with me and show you the kind of stuffing that we make. Regionally, stuffing can also be called dressing. I'm not from whatever region that is because I always grew up with it being stuffing, not dressing. So just know if I'm saying stuffing, it can also be a dressing depending on where you are from in the United States. But we are going to be making up some sausage cranberry stuffing today as well. Got our rolls into the oven. It took me a minute. I had some dishes that were piled up and I really wanted them out of the way before I went ahead and started this process, so I could start out with all clean dishes before I started making more dirty dishes. So what we're going to do here is I have some pork Italian sausage. This is what's going to go into our stuffing. I'm going to get it put into our skillet so we can get it browned on up. And we're going to do this while the rolls are baking because we are actually going to need to bake our bread chunks to dry it out just a little bit. That way it doesn't get super soggy. So one of the other things that we need to do while our sausage is cooking is we actually need to go ahead and get all of the gizzards and the turkey neck cooked on up because those are also going into our stuffing. So we are using as much of this bird as possible. It is not Thanksgiving yet, but Reed and I did go ahead and buy 2 big turkeys. Reed and I chose this year to go ahead and grind up the turkey breasts from those big turkeys, and we chose to go ahead and then portion out the rest of, we did turkey quarters and we did turkey wings, and so we had those portioned out and in the freezer, which was really nice. But then that way I also got the giblets and the neck to go ahead and make the stuffing for you because the stuffing is actually being made ahead. I'm going to store it in the freezer, for Thanksgiving with my family so I can take something off of my mom's plate this year. So I think these are the lungs. This is the gizzard. It's the heart. And maybe these are the lungs and the other one was the liver. But one of them's the lungs, one of them's the liver, I think. Okay. Because we had 2 turkeys, we've got 2 of everything. So now we're gonna go ahead and let all of this cook for about 30 to 40 minutes. So while we are waiting for our sausage and our turkey giblets to cook, we are gonna go ahead and get our bread sliced and chopped on up into small cubes. We're gonna get it spread out onto a baking sheet. We are gonna put it into a 350-degree oven. We're gonna let it bake for about 5 to 7 minutes. That way it can get just a little bit toasted. You can buy pre-toasted bread for the purpose of making stuffing, but if I can use homemade bread, why not? And our rolls are done. So let's take a look, or they should be done. Let's take a look and see how they're looking. These are starting to look good. I would like them to be just a little more golden, just a touch. They're looking really, really close, but I don't think they're fully cooked just yet. So we'll give them just another couple of minutes. All right, our sausage is now done. We can set this aside so it can cool while we get other things taken care of. Last year we made these chunks just a little too big, so I'm trying to be a little more conscious of that and make these chunks just a little bit smaller. Tired of the cutting board moving around, and I've heard that this trick, putting a towel underneath, will help keep it from sliding all over the place. Wow, yeah, that does actually work really, really well. So we're just going to set these aside for the moment while I cut up pieces that I can actually handle. All right, we got our bread nice and chopped on up and cubed. It's filling this whole baking sheet. We do still have some bread left over. We've got about 3 slices. So if it looks like we need to add more, we can always add more, but we will start with this baking sheet. And as soon as the rolls are out of the oven, we will go ahead and put these in to bake for a couple of minutes. We're gonna call these done. Go ahead and get our bread for the stuffing into the oven for 5 minutes. Okay, and we're just putting some melted butter all over these rolls. It'll help with some really good flavor. And then we're going to set these aside so they can continue to cool. And what I'll do is I'll drape a towel over them to make sure they cool, but they stay nice and soft. Now that the sausage is done, the bread is in the oven, we need to chop up an entire onion and this is gonna be about 2 cups of cranberries. I don't know if we need it all. And then we'll do about 2 stalks of celery. We just need it all chopped on up to go into our stuffing. We'll start with 2 and we'll see if we need more.
Friends, this is actually my first time making this stuffing, which is pretty exciting. I'm trying to help take some things off of my parents' plate since we have Thanksgiving dinner at their place typically. And so I figured I would go ahead and make some Thanksgiving stuffing ahead of time for my mom so she doesn't have to worry about it. This is also the first time that we are freezing the stuffing. So that way we can have it prepped and made ahead of time and we don't have to worry about making it on the day of. So I will report back and let you know in the future how this actually turned out because I don't know yet, but I do know that a lot of resources online say that we can go ahead and prep the stuffing ahead of time, freeze it, pull it out in the fridge, let it thaw, and then bake like you normally would, and it should turn out just fine. Again, this is my first time making this stuffing, so I'm really hoping it lives up to the wonderful stuffing that my mom makes, but only time will tell. And I better start now because Reed and I have officially started our little family, and I am hoping to cook delicious foods and start this stuffing tradition for our family as well in the future.
All right, our bread is done. It's got a nice light toast on it. We obviously don't want any of this to go to waste. I think I may chop up the rest of that bread. So that way, we're gonna need more than this, I think. Yeah, we'll just use up the rest of this bread. We went ahead and added the sausage to our breadcrumbs here. And what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna go ahead and cook the celery and the onions real quick, just to get a really good toast on them. There we go. Yeah. And get them just cooked up just a smidge. We'll see if we can get them to sweat just a little bit. We'll add a little bit of salt to help them sweat. And we're not cooking these all the way through. We just want them to get a little cooked. So these have softened up a little bit. They're looking a little more translucent. We're going to turn that off. And we'll also add this to the mixture with the sausage and bread. We added our cranberries, we added our onions, we added our celery, we added some Italian seasoning, which is sage, rosemary, thyme. It's got basil, oregano. We got that mixed up in here. This smells absolutely amazing. I am happy we're gonna add more breadcrumbs because we still need to tear apart the turkey neck and dice up the chicken or the turkey gizzards and liver and everything like that. So now that we have the neck, the heart, the liver, the gizzards all out, we're gonna let these cool. We need to go ahead and shred up the neck meat. We're gonna chop up the liver and the heart and everything. And that's gonna go into the stuffing to make sure we are maximizing the bird. One great thing is a lot of people like to do this and then use the juices from boiling these to turn it into gravy. I'm not going to turn it into gravy because Reed and I have no reason to have gravy on hand, but I will go ahead and add it to the turkey stock that I'm currently getting going from the 2 turkey carcasses that these came with, or after Reed and I parted out the bird and put it in the freezer. I'm making turkey stock with it, and this will just add flavor to our turkey stock. Okay, so the necks we need to kind of shred. I'm gonna wait till those cool down a little bit more so they're easier to handle. But everything else I can go ahead and chop on up now. And if you get this chopped up really small, not everybody can tell that this is in here, and it just adds some really good nutrients to your stuffing. We're gonna add some salt. And mix this all up. We are going to go ahead and add about a cup to a cup and a half of this broth because the bread is going to absorb it. And so this is homemade turkey stock that I made last year. We'll say that's about good. We'll mix this on up. We'll let this sit for just a minute. We'll see if we need to add more. We want the bread to absorb the liquid. Yeah, it looks like it's absorbing it really, really nicely. This little bit that I have left, I will put into a different container and freeze it. And we will take this with us when we go to a friend's house to celebrate Thanksgiving with them. All right, friends, I am hungry for dinner. So I'm gonna actually help myself to one of these rolls to go with my dinner. It's a leftover beef stroganoff that we have, and we don't have any more noodles, but this, oh yeah, oh, it's gonna be perfect. The texture on these is amazing. The texture on these is amazing. They have beautiful squish. They're nice and airy. They're very buttery. And they're so soft. So we are gonna put these rolls away. We'll enjoy these as sliders, and that's gonna be absolutely amazing. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here, and stay tuned because we are next going to cover Thanksgiving desserts. There's gonna be one pie, but we will not be making a pumpkin pie. And so we are playing up on some traditional fall flavors, but presenting some things very differently. I'm super excited to give those a try. So stay tuned for that. Let me know what your favorite holiday sides are. I would love to hear them because maybe we will try incorporating them in future years, or what you do to prepare to help with family gatherings, what you do to prep ahead of time. I would love to hear it. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.